Hey everyone, let's pick up from where we left in the previous video. We were going to start talking about incremental operators. So sometimes we just want to add values to a variable. So as an example, I'm going to create a variable called sales. So sales equals 20, for example. And now let's say I just want to add 5. Let's say I just sold another item and I want to add it to the total sales. So I could write it like this. So sales equals sales, which is now 20. And now I'm going to add 5. So by doing this, we are adding 5 every time we do this. But there's also an easier way of doing this without repeating the name of the variable. So we could write it like sales, then use the incremental operator, which is plus equal, and then 5. And this is going to produce the same result, but this time we didn't have to repeat the name of the variable. But it's essentially the same thing that we wrote here. So the same way, we can also use the minus equal. So now we are decreasing the value of the variable. And one cool thing about this incremental operator is that we can use it with strings. So let me just clear this. If I have a variable called first name, or maybe let's use it like this, name. Now I have my name. Now I can increment this variable by doing like this. So name plus equal. Now I'm going to add an empty space. Now I'm going to do it again. But this time I'm going to add my last name. So we can keep doing this to add something to strings. So I just wanted to show you this. Now let's talk about type conversions. Sometimes we will have to do this. So in this example, let's say we received numbers as strings. This is very common. Sometimes we're getting data from external sources and they just come as strings. When we get data from inputs, this is also likely to happen. So when we have this, let me just copy this and paste it at the console like this. So now if I try to do first number plus second number, what's happening here is that we have two strings. So what JavaScript does with the plus sign on strings is concatenation. So we are not making any sum here. We are just getting 21 and concatenating it with 4. These are strings. So in order to make this calculation with these kind of numbers, first we need to convert them. So for that, we can use the parseint or parsefloat. If you know you have only integer numbers, you can just use the parseint. So repeating the operation, instead of doing directly like this, I'm just going to use the parseint. So applying this to the first number, and the same thing for the second number. So parseint. So now we have the correct sum, because before doing the calculation, we are converting these strings to numbers. So the opposite is also true. So if you have an year of birth, for example, and this is a number, and you just want to concatenate it with a string, you can use the toString method. So again, this is a bit different. This could be a bit confusing. So in the first example, you just write parseint and put the variable name inside. And to do the opposite, you just put the variable first and then dot toString. I know this is confusing. Some people just hate JavaScript because of this, but don't worry about this now. This is just details. To be honest, I don't even memorize all these things. I don't take space on my brain just to memorize that. In case of string to integer, I have to do it like this. When it's the opposite, when it's integer to string, I have to do it like this. Anytime I want to confirm this, I have Google right in front of me, so I can just type JS string to integer and I will have the answer. So don't worry about this. If you know how to search for what you're trying to do, you will always have answers. Now, since we are talking about type conversions, just one thing to pay attention, you should always keep an eye on the type of your variables, because many times you won't notice that they are with the wrong types, like this. Maybe we receive the number, we do the calculation, we have an answer here, and we think this is working, but we need to pay attention to see that, oh no, actually this is not the correct sum. So always keep an eye on the types of your variables. Alright, so now we are ready to move on. We're just gonna talk quickly about two data types, so booleans and then no and undefined, and then we will do our first list of exercises where you are going to apply everything you learned so far. So I'll see you in the next video.